answering questions from Facebook. A friend asked about releasing trauma. And this is important. Big question. So many people have been traumatized. And so many of the most beautiful people and wonderful people have been traumatized. It kind of goes with the human condition. And the problem with trauma is trauma represents something that we can't bear to feel. So we try and wrap it up somewhere in the space of denial, in the scar tissue, emotional scar tissue within. And for some people it keeps leaping out in ways that are painful and that they can't accept, but still there's this tendency to repress and not being able to hold space with our trauma within. So releasing trauma, to release it, it can't just go away without us being able to face it, to be able to see it. It doesn't slip out the back door. So the secret is to be okay enough with yourself, to be present and accepting enough to accept the pain of witnessing and being present with the trauma that happened. And sometimes this happens in stages. Sometimes being present with your trauma could be just sort of like seeing it as from a distance. Sometimes it could be closer than that and come into sharper focus, more feeling involved. And sometimes it's almost as if re-experiencing it. And the different levels of experiencing trauma may be necessary to let it pass through, and it can be a difficult process or easy process or a slow process, and it's super beneficial to yourself. The secret also is not to spin a story about your trauma when you're holding space for it. It's like, he did this to me, or this happened, or the enemy did this and this, and somebody responded and this action's happened. It's like the story about it is endless, and it just whips it into being more and doesn't resolve or release anything. The event is the feeling, the scars, the trauma. Feel that. Don't think about it. Just be okay with it and hold some space with it. And it should be said that a lot of people have had very profound results working with psychedelics in this regard. The MAPS Foundation is doing, I think, stage 3 clinical trials in using MDMA to help people with their trauma, because if done with a psychotherapist in a clinical setting, it's found that this medicine will help people like accept that this happened to them, and that they can face it with the aid of this medicine. And this is a medical development that's been going on behind the scenes for a long time. And there's other psychedelic medicines like ayahuasca and mushrooms that people have found helpful in finding those things and exploring the things that have been buried deep within. And it's possible to get benefit from that by using very small doses, because you don't want to be overwhelmed by these things, and it can be quite intense. So have support if you're going to go that way, and start slow. But it bears mentioning that there's releasing trauma as there's a medicine path to it as well that can be explored. So some people feel like, okay, maybe it's just better I keep these things within. I'm gonna okay. Maybe I'm a little reluctant to love or a little closed within, maybe a little jittery because I have this trauma, but it's better than facing the trauma. But the problem is just like holding this traumatic space within yourself. It takes a bit of your own consciousness to create the jail for it, to hold it within, takes some of our life energy. And so not only is the trauma itself a life energy space, but like repressing it is a life energy space. So we become divided by having all these traumas, and we're unconsciously reacting to them in our life because our traumas remind us of the opposite sex or of conflict or of vulnerability. These are family wounds. We can't be natural in the moment and be fully whole until we're fully whole, which means dissolving all the divisions that we have created within ourselves. So releasing trauma serves you very deeply, and who you become if you've worked through trauma is somebody that can really hold space for other people and have, by example and by clearing the energy, have made the world a lighter place to live in for everyone. So I wish everyone, success on the path of releasing trauma, and be compassionate with yourself. Don't force yourself too hard. Be brave if you can be, and navigate your heart through the process. And sometimes it's good to start with just that intention. It's like I'm gonna go after my trauma. I'm gonna release it. I'm looking for support and ways to help me through that. And sometimes life will bring you what you need if you call it in.